What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Daily Spread, the Friday version, the first Friday version of the Daily Spread for the Land Grant Gauntlet on Facebook Live. If you don't know me by now, my name is Brady Trantham, at Brady Does Sports on Twitter. So give me a follow if you want to talk about Big 12, college football, whatever. I'm here all day, talk about whatever. Let me pull up everything that I wanted to talk about. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so there's actually a lot of kind of interesting news tidbits here and there that kind of trickled in over, since the morning started. We'll get into that, obviously, so I want to give everybody a chance to join in for a few minutes. But again, my name is Brady Trantham, and I have taken over your Facebook feed. And yeah, just do what I say, basically, for the next 10 minutes. Just listen, talk football, talk whatever you guys want to talk about. I don't care. We'll have fun with it. But I guess before we get into all the news bits, and also one quick thing before we get started into anything, the reason why I'm doing it in this room instead of in my other room is because we have people on the roof giving us a new roof. So if you hear a bunch of, sorry, these things happen with live TV or video, whatever this is considered, whatever media format this is considered, these things happen. So I apologize if there's a ton of noise. But anyway, into more website kind of dealings and news. We are still looking for contributors, everybody. So, even if it's not you, if you know somebody that's interested in writing, visual, audio stuff, just anything to do with college football in general, we're looking for any type of help. And we'll, depending on what you are interested in doing, I'm sure me or Chris or whoever else will be able to fit you in any way. So, if you're interested, we don't bite, so just hit us up on Facebook, on Twitter, at LGG, me on Twitter, Chris Ross on Twitter. Just let us know, and we'll try to do our best to get you kind of involved and make sure you feel appreciated. So share that with whoever it may concern. So yeah, there we go. And I'm sorry, I keep seeing the glare from the computer screen on my glasses. I probably should have worn my contacts, so I'm sorry if that's distracting, but I'll try to muscle through it. But other than that, we did release our T-shirt that I teased on Wednesday, the Big Daddy Mug OSU T-shirt, the Mike Gundy thing. I gotta say, it's pretty cool. I went to OU, so you should understand where my loyalties lie at the end of the day. But wow, that's a pretty good shirt. I got to give it up to Chris and the company that made it. I've got to give it up to them. Game Day on Rocky Tops, apparently. Got to give it up to them. They did an excellent job with the T-shirt. It looks really, really rad. So good job. Hopefully I get to see a lot of OSU fans rocking that this season. That'd be really great. And, who knows, maybe we can do some cool little giveaways. Chris, if you're watching. Maybe we can do some cool little giveaways for listeners, for followers, and, just to encourage discussion and all that, all that jazz. So, yeah, I like it. Just so look for it on the Land Grant Gauntlet's Facebook page, Twitter account, and even the website itself, landgrantgauntlet.com, on our merchandise little tab. We've got a bunch of really cool, unique T-shirts. Yeah, awesome. We can make something happen. Let's get on that. It is Friday, so and actually, since it is Friday and it's noon, and I'm sure there are some people out there that probably getting off work a little early. If you hear like a knock, like on the roof, if you're drinking like a really expensive bottle of Cabernet, which I'm sure a lot of our followers are, we have very intelligent, well-to-do fans here at the Land Grant Gauntlet. So if you are drinking something very expensive, every time you hear a little boom noise, because I keep hearing it, take a drink, make it fun. But yeah, check out our T-shirts, helps us out, and I just like to see people rocking their school colors. It makes college football, probably the best sport in America, in the world. Don't tell soccer fans in Europe, but yeah, check it out, everybody. But into, I guess, all the little news bits today. I am a little disappointed that the Baker Mayfield tape hasn't come out yet. It's probably not going to come out until, around 4 or 5 o'clock, once the news cycle starts to die at the end of the day. I would imagine the Fayetteville police and OU have kind of been in contact with one another and trying to make sure that it's as out of the media sphere as much as possible. I mean, it's gonna be watched a zillion times. It's gonna be made into a GIF or a GIF, however you pronounce it. It's going to be made into all that. You're gonna see it on Twitter a zillion times. I mean, even the Joe Mixon tape when that came out, and that's completely different. Obviously, that's disgusting. This Baker Mayfield thing, from what we can all gather, from what I can gather, is probably just going to be more humorous. At the same time, it goes without saying, you should never run away from the cops. You should never disrespect the police. I understand that there are situations out there where you kind of find yourself in a spot where that's probably not the most instinctual reaction that you have, especially if you're drunk, but at the same time, you want to protect yourself as much as possible. So I don't want to say that it's humorous and that let's laugh and make light of it, but at the same time, he is a Heisman Trophy candidate. He is one of the best players in not just the Big 12, but in all of college football. He's one of the main reasons why the Sooners are going to be in the national title hunt this year in the Big 12 hunt. So to see him with, burger, cheese fries all over his T-shirt and and running away from, the Fayetteville Police Department, I mean, at the end of the day, I hope he can just laugh at it, meaning I hope he can move on and improve and obviously not make that same mistake again. But that hasn't come out yet, so I don't get to really talk about it in detail other than what I just talked about. So there we go. I'll just leave that there and stay tuned with us, the land-grant gauntlet, and as soon as it comes out, I promise you we'll be right on it like rye on rice. So so stay tuned, everybody. But there was an interesting little tidbit I saw concerning Texas and their new head coach Tom Herman and how he's tried to, I guess, reward and punish players during their winter workouts. Which, if you're not familiar with workout programs in deep big time college football, winter programs are by far probably the hardest thing to do because you're coming off Christmas break, you're coming off your bowl game, and in this case Texas didn't, but you're coming off the postseason, and you put on a few extra pounds. You're not playing as hard. You're not practicing every day like you do in the fall, in the spring, the summer, and the fall. So it's really easy to kind of lose a lot of that athletic edge that you have. So to combat that, strength and conditioning coaches all over the country, they make winter the time where you have to be on point at your athletic peak as much as possible, or you will be punished. And in this case with Texas, Tom Herman, and I guess he did this at Houston too, he separated his players into 3 separate groups at their team dinner the other night. There was one group called the Gold Group, which was everybody that did their job, did everything correctly, and didn't need their hand held. And there was the Green Group of players that I guess were on the way to that maybe younger players that just kind of need that little extra push. And then you have the Crimson Groups who are bad and need their hand held and are kind of have some bad habits, whatever. I don't necessarily want to say that they're bad people, but at least on the practice field, they haven't been giving the effort that Tom Herman has been looking for. So we'll just say that. But the Gold Groups at the team dinner got all the fixings. They got ribeye steak. They got all this great food. And then everybody in the Crimson Group just got hot dogs. So, that's a little funny. And it does bring up the great moral dilemma of our time. And is a hot dog a sandwich? So discuss that amongst yourselves. It's not only one of the greatest moral dilemmas of our time, it's probably the biggest philosophical discussion of the millennial generation. So anytime hot dogs brought up on Twitter or the internet, it's the first thing that pops in my head. So just talk amongst yourselves. But there's that knock again, so drink. Anyway, I do find it interesting, though, that out of the 3 colors, I understand gold would be number 1. I mean, gold, trophy, championship, whatever. That makes sense. But I would assume that the middle group would be orange because, or burnt orange. That's Texas' color. And because it makes sense that way, considering the bad eggs are in the Crimson Group, which is the color scheme of their biggest rival, the University of Oklahoma. So that whole thing kind of just tells me what I've always thought, and that's even Texas doesn't like the color burnt orange. And I'll let that die. Yeah. I'll try not to get my my personal opinion out there as much. But hey, it's Friday. Might as well have fun. The other Texas thing that kind of popped up was former Texas quarterback, should have been Heisman Trophy winner, national champion Vince Young will be playing for the Saskatchewan Roughriders in the Canadian Football League, and he hasn't played since 2011 for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, I mean, for the nostalgia factor, I mean, when I was 13, 14, 15, that's when Vince Young was at Texas, and just watching all those games, whenever like Texas OSU, Texas OU, the Texas USC game, one of the better college football memories I have as since I've been watching it. And so for the nostalgic factor, that's going to be really cool to maybe see a highlight or two of him running around, a bunch of Canadian football players. I hope he does well. He's had some issues and troubles in the past, which are well documented. If you don't know, just Google his name and you'll see a few things pop up immediately. But he is one of the greats of the game. Certainly a player I respect on the field, so I hope he does well. I hope he gets some success out of this. And, maybe, there's an outside shot that if he does well here, he can maybe try one more stint in the NFL, and I'm sure that's something that him and Texas fans all over the world would love to see. So, I guess us at LGG, Vince Young, we're all rooting for you, so good luck in Canada. Iowa State made a little interesting hire. They hired former Kansas State quarterback Jake Waters as a graduate assistant, an offensive assistant coach. And Waters he's no stranger to success and winning. He was 17-9 as a starter in 2 seasons with Kansas State. And you got to think, it's just the cliched blanket statement thrown over Kansas State players and especially quarterbacks is that they're very smart, they're very cerebral, and if you're able to play and captain a team, and he was a captain of at Kansas State, if you're able to be a captain for a Bill Snyder team, something up there works really well. So that could be a good little splash of a hire. I mean, it's just a grad assistant, so there's not going to be that much impact that you'll actually see, especially in year one. And my battery is getting low, so sorry if I'm touching the screen. But it's something to keep your eye on. You got to start somewhere. I mean, all the great coaches in the game, they started off as grad assistants, so, just try to remember the name Jake Waters. Kansas State fans, I'm sure, are rooting for him kind of, but he did go to Iowa State, little conference rival, so that'll kind of make the K-State-Iowa State game a little bit more interesting. But with that, speaking of Kansas State, something pretty cool yesterday. We don't necessarily talk about basketball too much, but I'm sure everybody out there was like glued to their TV sets or the radio or something yesterday, considering both Kansas and Baylor got knocked off in the Big 12 tournament in the quarterfinals, and Kansas losing to TCU, amazing game. I mean, Kansas was up 14 at the first half, and you think, well, it's over, and then TCU fights all the way back to take a 1-point lead. And then I think they stretched the lead up to 11 in the second half, but then Kansas fights back and takes a 4-point lead with like 20 or 30 seconds left, and you're thinking, okay, I've seen this movie before. Kansas is just going to finish it out. And TCU beat them. It was, props to TCU, props to Horned Frog Nation. So I think that was their only their second win in Big 12 tournament history in their short time in the Big 12. It's certainly one of their biggest wins with their basketball program in quite some time. So props to you guys. But Kansas State was also the other team in the upset party where they knocked off Baylor, and that's pretty big for Bruce Weber. I don't know how all Kansas State fans feel about Bruce Weber. He had success at Illinois. He's had some success at Kansas State, but seems like a lot of people are probably a little tired of him. But hey, if he wins the Big 12 tournament, which is a pretty it's not out of the ballpark right now considering who they've just beat. But if they win the Big 12 tournament and go to the NCAA tournament, it's going to be interesting. But that's my basketball tidbits for now. But back to Kansas State. At the Sprint Center in Kansas City yesterday during the Big 12 tournament, Bill Snyder was shown on the big screen, and he got a huge standing ovation. And, of course, everybody's aware of his throat cancer diagnosis. And so everybody, here at the website and Big 12 fans across the board, I know, thoughts and prayers to Bill Snyder and his family. And Kansas State fans. He's one of the he's just a complete national treasure. He's a Kansas treasure. He's a Big 12 treasure. It's great to watch his teams compete. It's great to watch your team compete against them because he usually brings out the most frustratingly good games out of your team. If OU if your team wins against Kansas State, no matter how disappointing a season Kansas State may have, it's always a great win because you know the work that Bill Snyder and his staff put in and the players put in and how much of a grind it is to beat Kansas State. So that was kind of a nice moment to see. But also with TCU, it's really, really long, so I don't want to get into it because I'm already like at the 15-minute mark. And I guess this was supposed to be the long episode of the day considering all the news, but I won't get into it too much. So I'll throw it out there for you to read if you're interested, and I'm sure Chris will put it up on the Facebook kind of subtitle at some point. But anyway, on hornfrogblitz.com, there's like this huge magnum opus on the a day in the life of Gary Patterson. I think it's called CEO of TCU Football, and I got to read about half of it before I went on air. And it was really interesting to see kind of the inner workings of just a day at practice with Gary Patterson and TCU. He's one of the better coaches, not just in the conference, but in the country. And he's proved that over years of just being consistent defensively, consistent in winning, despite TCU coming up from mid-major conference and trying to grow and grow and grow over the last 15 years. And they finally got their head above water by joining the Big 12 a few years ago, and they've had great success so far. I mean, last year was kind of a disappointment, but if you've known Gary Patterson, if you follow TCU, that's a program and that's a coach that doesn't have consecutive bad seasons or disappointing seasons, at least in my opinion. So it's hornfrogblitz.com, and we'll put that on the article for this. So that was that. But other than that, everybody, I think that's about it. I think I covered everything, and I didn't want to go too long, but I did go pretty long. But I'll just remind everybody again, we are still looking for contributors. So writers, video, audio, podcast, anything like that. If you guys are interested, just hit us up. Hit me on Twitter at ReadyToSports. Hit us up on the website. Hit Chris up, and we will make it happen. And we look forward to whoever is out there that wants to join. We look forward to you joining us. So that was that. But yes, and then also the Big Daddy mug T-shirt. Everybody check that out if you haven't seen it. OSU fans, you'll love it. Again, I hope I see a few people sprinkled here and there, watching the OSU game in the fall. I hope I get to see a few people, rocking it. Hope I get to see a few people wearing it around, Stillwater. I do go to Stillwater quite a bit, so I'd love to see it make me smile. But anyway, everybody, I guess it's about gonna wrap it up for me. This is the Daily Spread on the LandGrantGauntlet.com. My name is Brady Trantham, and I'm going to be signing off in the next few seconds. I'm going to press a button and see what it does. Awesome. It's just a filter. Awesome. Well, everybody, again, my name is Brady Trantham. Y'all have a good day, and Big 12 versus the world.